Hi there! Welcome to What is Islam Academy. Let's learn about Islam together.
Let's start with a tough question. If God is all just and all powerful, why did he only guarantee the preservation of the Quran, and not earlier scriptures like the Torah or Gospel? This question challenges our sense of fairness and God's relationship with humanity. If God is merciful to all, why would he allow some communities' revelations to be lost or changed? The answer isn't about favoritism but about purpose and timing. Islam teaches that all revelations were sacred and their prophets honored, but God entrusted earlier communities with the responsibility to preserve their scriptures, a test of their free will. The Quran's preservation is not an exception, but the culmination of a long history of guidance. It marks a shift. The final message was meant for all people, for all time. To understand why, we need to explore universal revelation, human responsibility, and the unique promise made for the Quran. This isn't about divine unfairness, but about a plan unfolding across history. Let's put this question on the table and seek a deeper answer. Why was the Quran preserved? Let's break it down. By the end, we'll see a picture of wisdom, mercy, and a perfectly executed plan. Islam teaches that God never left any community without guidance. The Quran says, "For every nation is a messenger." Across continents and centuries, God sent prophets with the same core message: worship the one true God and live justly. This universal mercy means no one can claim ignorance of guidance. Each revelation was tailored to its people's needs and context, but the essential truth remained unchanged. Like a parent guiding a child at every stage, God sent humanity guidance in stages. The problem was never the message, it was always pure. The challenge was what happened after the messenger people forgot, misinterpreted, or changed the teachings. Islam affirms the Torah and Gospel were originally divine. Their issue was not origin but preservation. Over time, human hands altered the texts. This was a known pattern, not a surprise. When people strayed, God sent another prophet to bring them back. The cycle of guidance, loss, and renewal was part of humanity's journey. This sets the stage for why a final preserved message was needed. Did God intend for earlier scriptures to be corrupted? No. He never wants truth mixed with falsehood. But he gave humans free will, making preservation a test. Forcing perfect preservation would make the test meaningless. Religious leaders were entrusted to safeguard the scriptures, a great honor and a heavy responsibility. Some fulfilled this, but over time, human weaknesses crept in. Power, convenience, and error led to changes. Corruption was a human action, not a divine one. God could have intervened, but that would violate free will. The failure to preserve was a reflection on people, not on God. This test of trust was part of humanity's spiritual development. Each community's choices shaped their legacy. God's justice lies in giving the opportunity, not forcing the outcome. The lesson divine truth is a trust, and its preservation is a human responsibility, until the final message. That's where the story changes. Why didn't God just fix corrupted scriptures? Instead, he sent new messengers. This living guidance kept revelation alive and relevant. Prophets like Moses and Jesus came to correct deviations and renew the core message. This cycle respected free will and offered each generation a fresh start. God's patience allowed people to choose truth willingly. The absence of forced preservation was part of humanity's spiritual growth. Each cycle taught lessons about sincerity and the dangers of altering divine guidance. This process prepared humanity for a final universal message. The plan was always leading to something conclusive. When the time was right, the cycle would end, with a message preserved for all. That's the turning point. What changed with the Quran? It marked the end of the cycle. The Quran is the final testament, revealed when humanity was ready for a universal message. Unlike earlier scriptures, God himself promised to preserve it. Indeed, we sent down the Quran, and we will be its guardian. This was unprecedented. The era of human-led preservation was over. The author would protect the final message. Since Muhammad was the last prophet, no new messenger would come to correct future corruption. The Quran had to remain pure for all generations. Its preservation is tied to its role as a timeless, global guide. Its message is universal, addressing all of humanity. Its laws are broad, adaptable, and enduring. The promise of preservation and the finality of the message go hand in hand. The final book had to be the forever book. That's what makes the Quran unique. How was God's promise fulfilled? Through a multi-layered system. Mass memorization began with Prophet Muhammad and continues today. Millions know the Quran by heart. The text was also meticulously written and cross-checked with memorized recitation. Early manuscripts were compiled and standardized soon after the prophet's death. The Arabic text has remained unchanged for over 1,400 years. There are no competing versions, just one Quran. This uniformity is unique in religious history. A robust scholarly tradition further protected the text. Generations of scholars studied, taught, and preserved every aspect of the Quran. Oral, written, and scholarly traditions formed a fortress around the Quran. This is how the divine promise was kept. Compare this with other scriptures. The Torah, revealed in Hebrew, was lost and reconstructed after periods of exile. What remains is a product of later editing and translation. The Gospels were written decades after Jesus, in Greek, not his original language, and by followers, not Jesus himself. Multiple versions and church decisions led to differing canons and interpretations. Human editing, translation, and sectarian disputes layered the original message with additions and changes. The Quran, by contrast, was preserved in its original Arabic, with no period of loss or reconstruction. There's only ever been one Quran. This isn't criticism, but explains why a new, protected revelation was necessary. Earlier revelations were for specific people and times. The Torah suited the children of Israel's needs. It wasn't meant as a universal law. Each message was perfect for its audience and era. Like school textbooks, each revelation built on the last, preparing humanity for more. The Quran is the final curriculum, broad, adaptable, and universal. Its preservation was essential because no new revelation would follow. God gave each community what they needed, when they needed it. The final message had to be preserved for all people, for all time. This resolves the question of fairness. Earlier nations weren't given less. They were given what fit their stage. The Quran's universality and preservation match its final global role. The plan was always perfectly matched to the audience. Think of Revelation like software development. Early versions are for testing. The final release is for everyone. Previous scriptures were like beta versions, perfect for their time, but temporary. The Quran is the final release guaranteed by its author. Its preservation isn't favoritism, but the logical conclusion of a long process. This is a story of God's wisdom and patience guiding humanity step by step. The preserved Quran is a clear, accessible guide for anyone seeking connection with their Creator. Its preservation is not an accident, but a necessity for its universal role. The best way to understand this claim is to read the Quran yourself. Examine its text, compare manuscripts, and see its history. The evidence of preservation is there for those who seek it. The Quran invites you to read, reflect, and discover its message. The final invitation: open the book and see for yourself. The truth is there for those willing to look.